to Throttle Only. My name is Nate. This is a 2024 X7 xDrive40i. Let's check it out. If you're looking for a giant SUV that sits 6 people, is draped in absolute luxury, and has tons of road presence, this might be it. So let's start with the exterior styling, because that is really what matters most here. So let's start on the hood here. This hood looks absolutely amazing. There are a bunch of body lines on this hood, gives it a lot of dimension here. And then as we make our way to the very end of the hood, a nice BMW logo there. As we continue on down, I love the kidney grille. I think it works very well, especially that it's blacked out. With that kidney grille there, it would actually open and close depending on the airflow demand. And in the center of that kidney grille, we do have a front camera here. Now, dead center at the very bottom here, we have the technology for the radar cruise. And then all along the sides here, there's just a lot of vents for cooling. And I just really love the black accents here. Of course, this is an option you can add if you don't want the standard chrome. And lastly, in the front here, we have the headlights. As you can see, the headlights and the daytime running lights have separate housings. The daytime running lights look so menacing, and they are the same ones we see on the 7 Series sedan. And here's what the turn signals look like in the front. They have a really cool pulsating effect to them. Now at the side profile here, let's look at the body lines, because there are 3 very prominent ones. The first one is below the door handles right here, and then the last 2 are even further down. Now let's look at these wheels here. So this wheel setup is 22-inch M V-spoke 755 M wheels. Man, they look so good, especially in this gloss black. And then to match, we have black calipers. As far as the tire setup, up here in the front, we have 2 75/40, and in the rear, we have a 3 15/35 setup. And behind the front wheels, there's a functional vent. And it also has very nice gloss black styling that will continue all the way to the rear of the vehicle. As we come up and look at the door handles here, these do have your proximity sensing, and you can also lock them and unlock them from the outside. This also has soft closed doors front and rear, which is very convenient since these doors are very heavy. As we come up and look at the mirrors here, these have the LED indicator on the outside. It also has a camera underneath to help with your surround view camera, and it has the blind spot monitoring, and they do fold. As we come up and look at the roof, there are gloss black roof rails. And since this does have adaptive suspension, here's what the vehicle looks like in its highest ride height mode, and then all of the modes in between to its lowest mode. Now last but absolutely not least here, the rear exterior styling. Starting at the very top, there's a shark fin antenna that merges all the way down into this beautiful roof spoiler. And I love the roof spoiler because it has 2 tones here, the black and then the white. And then the third brake light is also hidden inside of there. As we make our way down, very level here, all in a nice line. We have all of the badges. In the very center, the BMW badge. On the other side, an X7 badge. And then on the last side here, the xDrive40i badge. And then if we just take a moment to just appreciate the body lines here on the back as well, there's a nice body line that'll come just underneath the license plate here. And then at the very bottom here, we have dual exhaust ports here. There's also a tow hook here with this package. And then lastly, at the rear end, we have some really intricate tail lamps. I love the design on the sides. It says BMW. It also has a very nice pattern on it. When the parking lights are actually on, it has 2 separate areas that will illuminate. And then when the turn signals or hazards are on, it illuminates or pulses in red. I definitely think that this could use sequential LED turn signals, and it could definitely use a LED light bar because the rear is just massive. Here's a look at the actual purchase sticker. Pause the video if you want to take a closer look. You can see here with all of the options added, the price sits at $97,820 US before taxes. There are 3 trims available for the X7, the xDrive40i, the X7 M60i, and the XB7. Under the hood, there's a 3-liter BMW twin-power turbo inline 6-cylinder. It produces 375 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission, xDrive all-wheel drive. For the fuel economy, it gets 20 in the city, 24 highway, and 22 combined. And it has a curb weight of 5,417 pounds. Okay, so let's look at the trunk space here on this 6-seater. We're gonna use the key fob to open up the trunk, just holding that button. There are 2 lift gates here. Let's look at the very top one with the controls. You can easily close the gate and lock it at the same time. And then for the lower gate, you can open the gate, and then you can also adjust the suspension. You can just push that button It'll illuminate in green just to let you know that it is doing it. And then let's just push that down. There we go. And let's start with here. So under here, it looks like there's some storage in the shape of a wheel. You also have your other partition storage right there. Closing that on up here. On the right side, there's a little area for some storage behind here, and then storage in front. A 12-volt adapter right here. And then on this side, same little thing here. Nice LED light there. And you can adjust the second and third row automatically with these switches here, second and third row. So let's go ahead and adjust the third row here. I'm just going to push these buttons one time. And let's do the other one. And let's adjust the second row here. And lastly, the right seat. There we go. And then if you use these buttons here, the max storage space, this will also adjust your seats to a preset area, just like it's doing now. This one is for the leg room for the second row passengers. So the seats in the rear here can also be folded down using these controls. This is also located on the left and the right side. All you have to do is push and pull depending on what you want, and they'll fold down for you. And to close it on up, we'll just push this button right here. So before we hop on in to this X7 in the third row, we're gonna look at this door panel. So we have a nice speaker in the very front here, very nice door handle, a lot of switches here. This is your window control switch. And then this also has automatic sunshades, and you can toggle the left and the right sunshades. And this also has two sunroofs. You can toggle the front one here that extends from the very front seats to the second row, and then also the third row in the back. And behind those switches, there's a little compartment here as well as a handle. Very plush material there for your armrest. An LED lighting strip right here. Very nice wood material there. Another speaker grill. And then some storage down below. As we come into the vehicle here, we have an illuminated M-sill here. I really like the plastic on here. However, I think it would be a lot better in clear, because I think a lot of owners would like to have their plastic on here, because usually these door sills, they just scuff very easily. Now let's go ahead and look at the third row here. So to access the third row, just pull this up like this, lean it a little bit forward, and the seat will move forward automatically. All right, so let's take a look at the third row here. Let's start with the comfortability here. I'll also show you what it looks like with me sitting back here with the minimal leg room. And then you can also see there's a pretty nice ambient lighting strip on either side, a nice armrest as well as a cup holder. There's some gloss black there as well. And then down from there, there's a USB Type-C on either side. And you can also attach the cargo cover that I showed in the trunk. There's a pretty decently sized window here as well, so your passengers can look out. Behind their heads or in front of their heads there's also a speaker. And then up above, we have this very nice suede Alcantara look here. There's some accessory light switches here, and you can also control the sunroof here. And then they have their own climate control. It does have a nice LCD display. This also has heated seats back here with 3 different levels. And then lastly, as far as the vents, there's a vent on the roof, and there's also some vents down below. And when the third row passengers are all locked in, just go ahead and move this back like this, and the seat will adjust itself all the way back. All right, y'all, so in the second row here in this X7, this is for sure a more comfortable place to be at than the third row. I definitely have enough room for my legs and my feet. No issues there whatsoever. Same comfortable seats we saw in the third row there. And these armrests are pretty nice too. They are adjustable. And then in front of the driver and the passenger seats here, if we open this little compartment here, there's one USB Type-C. And then down from there, there's a storage pocket as well. As we look in the center here, we have our own climate control, just like the third row. We have heated seats with 3 different levels, a nice LCD display, 2 vents there in the very center. And then coming on down, still from this center console area here, there's a little bit of storage space. There's also a 12-volt adapter, 2 USB Type-Cs, some cup holders there, and then we have this very nice embossed X7 plastic right there. Up above us, beautiful Alcantara headliner here and this giant panoramic roof here, and we can easily control that with our panels that I showed you earlier. Now moving on up to the passenger side here, looking at the door panel, the same beautiful material we saw in the rear here. There's a Harman Kardon speaker right there. There's your window controls there, unlock and locking controls, as well as a handle. You have your preset seat buttons there, a little area for some storage, a grab handle, decently padded armrest area, more storage here down below. And then moving on into the vehicle, there's a nice M sill here that is illuminated. Some nice BMW floor mats there as well. And then a bunch of automatic seat controls here. You can pretty much adjust almost everything with this vehicle, including your thigh support, lumbar support. Very comfortable perforated material here. And then in front of the passenger, they get a look at this beautiful X7 illuminated area right here. Some more of this nice wood grain material here. Some soft touch material in front of the dash there. And I really love this little area here. Adds to the nice styling of this vehicle. And then a really small glove box, which is pretty normal. And then on the driver's side here, this is really the command center. So the first button that's different here is this rear button. You can either put the seats forward or all the way back. I'll show you what that looks like. And that'll give you a little bit more room here, so you can either have more storage space or maybe your third row passengers need a little bit more legroom. There's also a trunk button down below here. You also have your standard preset buttons for the seat, and there's also a button here that says 2, and on that button, if you push that, you can adjust the passenger seat with your own controls sitting in the driver's seat. And then the same exact materials we saw on the passenger and in the rear doors here. 4 window switch buttons here. You can also adjust the mirrors, and then you can also toggle the automatic rear sunshades. Coming on into the vehicle, we have the same M sill here. At the very bottom, we have aluminum and rubber pedals here. There's your automatic controls. Look how beautiful these seats are. And this also has the heated option there as well. I'll show you that a little bit more as we come on into the vehicle. There's your lighting controls here. There's also a small little storage pocket there. Now looking at the armrest and center console, it's very padded. You can see there is a 2-way split here. Just push this button here. It'll pop on open for you. There's some nice room in there. There's also a USB Type-C. And then up from that, we have more of this beautiful wood grain material. You can see there are some ambient lighting strips there as well. There's a pretty nice wheel right here. It has a crystal look to it, as well as your shifter. You have traction control off button there, parking sensors, start engine stop, your different drive modes here, sport, comfort, and eco. There's a hill descent button there, an auto hold brake button, an electronic park brake, and then this is how you can adjust your adaptive suspension, and it'll let you know which area you toggle just by illuminated there. Up from there, there's a little bit more storage, just push that. There's a wireless charging pad here, a little area for some storage, 2 cup holders, a USB Type-A, and a 12-volt adapter. Then in the center here, we have a hazard button. You can easily skip tracks here, adjust your volume, turn it or mute it if you'd like, and then you can also adjust your defroster. And this is probably one of my favorite styling pieces here. Is just very unique design here, especially with these really cool vents. You can just easily move this around to force your air in a certain direction, and then you can easily turn it on or off just by twisting like this. And then as you continue, just as we saw before, we have this very nice X7 illuminated area right here. All right, so let's take a look at the infotainment screen here. So I'm currently using wireless Apple CarPlay. I'll go ahead and go back to the BMW menu here. And let's go ahead and toggle the apps. So there are a lot of apps here. Let's scroll all the way up to the top. So there's BMW ID, Personal Assistant, there's your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, as I mentioned earlier. Let's look at all of these. I mean, primarily the ones that I like using here, the displays. You can customize your head-up display, your instrument gauge cluster. You can also just control the display brightness. Go to doors and locks. You can control all of those. Pretty much everything that has this tan color here, or this cyan color, excuse me, is primarily the ones that I like to use. So the driver settings, driver assistance, drivetrain and chassis support, which will change depending on your drive mode, of course. Your exterior lighting, parking lights, left roadside parking light or right roadside, you can easily toggle that there. Interior lighting, there's your cockpit brightness at night, your ambience, your reading lights here. So if I click on the ambience, we can adjust the colors. So there's ocean, azure, pool, turquoise, emerald. Primarily the one that I like using is indigo. That one is extremely bright. I wish they had the standard color wheel, but it's totally fine. There's lighting effects that you can adjust as well. And live vehicle is pretty cool. So this is one of the views for the content. There's also adaptive content and vehicle status and trip data. But I think this one is definitely the coolest one to drive around in. And then your climate control buttons here at the very bottom, you can easily just touch that and then adjust everything. You can have individual settings. Since this does have front, second, and third row seats, you can adjust stuff like that. So if I go to the third row here, you can adjust the fan speed, the temperature. You can have it all automatic as well if you want to. Let's go back to apps real quick. Mobile devices, messages, highlights, system settings, seat comfort even. So front, second row passengers. So there's a lot of things you can adjust here. Let's go to weather. Of course, this has Wi-Fi. There you go, 97 degrees right now. Infotainment, vehicle. So that is this really responsive infotainment display. All right, and taking a quick look at the cameras here, this is what the front camera looks like. And then here's the rear camera, and you can see this does have the lines. You can toggle those on or off if you'd like. If I hit more here, and I go to 3D view, and then I can actually change, using the gesture control, the view on the vehicle, which is really, really awesome. Let's check out what else we can do here. So trailer, there's a trailer view. And here's a car wash view. Parking view. And then with this camera setup right here, you can also look at specific wheels. And you can set it back to auto, so depending on if you're in reverse or drive, it'll change. Let's see, assisted view. And so it'll give you more parking sensors on this side. It's the panoramic view there, panorama view. And then the last thing, if you want to record a specific path, say you're going into a very tight space and you're not confident backing out, then you can just record a new path. And you can see right there, it's recording. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the wheel a little bit. And there we go, then I'm done. And I can hit save recording. We'll just save it. And then we'll do start backup assist. Hit it into reverse and start the backup assist. And then it'll do everything for you. All right, and now here's a good look at the steering wheel here. There's a nice BMW logo here in the center. At the bottom, we have a nice M logo. The steering wheel is pretty chunky overall, just like a lot of other BMW steering wheels. We have paddle shifters on the back, minus and plus on the other side. On the left side of the steering wheel, this is all your radar cruise control buttons, as well as your assisted plus button. You can toggle that by using this button right here. And then on the right side, here are a lot of your media controls here. And then you can also toggle the menu for your digital instrument gauge cluster here, as well as the head-up display right here. So let's go ahead and go into this digital instrument gauge cluster right here. I'm going to go ahead and touch this button right here, and it'll bring up a menu, as you can see here. Let me go into comfort mode, because that will also toggle the layout menu as well. So starting on the left side with the content, hitting that menu, you can go ahead and scroll on down, and I'll just show you all the different items that you can have here. It's the augmented view here, directions, maps. This is your G meter, your media and radio. And then let's go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and put it into the augmented reality view, and then we're going to go to layout. And so you can have a smaller view here, a larger one, and then lastly you can have this view. And then for the head-up display here, let me go ahead and zoom in. So we can have content just like this. We have a directional view, an assisted view, a sport view, a reduced view, and that's pretty much it. And lastly, here's a look at our visors here. Pretty good size. Small mirror. Pops on out like this. And it does not move back. So let's take a look at the key fob real quick. So this is the beautiful key fob. It's very heavy as well. On the front, you have a locking control. That's going to be your BMW logo there. You can also push that 3 times for your remote start. On the side, you have your unlock control. You can also open the trunk, your alarm button, and then there's nothing on the back here. And then a very nice key. Okay guys, we're setting out here in the BMW X7 xDrive40i. Let's go ahead, I'm going to put it into sport mode right now, and we'll try a 0 to 60 here. I'm going to keep traction control on. See what it does here. I'm going to put this to the live vehicle so you can see all that stuff. And I'm going to brake boost it. Okay. Yeah, that really is not bad at all. Especially considering that there are 2 trims left to choose if you wanted an X7. There's the M60i, which is a bit faster, and then the B7 Alpina, which is just absolutely insane. So since I'm already in sport mode, talk a little bit more about the sport mode. So as soon as you hit that sport button, you can immediately feel it just stiffen up. Going around corners and all of that, it's just super stiff. Oh. Obviously the acceleration is going to be a lot better as well. But let's really see how this handles here going around this bend at about 75. I don't know what kind of magic this is from you, BMW, but this feels remarkably stable for how long this vehicle is, how tall it is. This is actually pretty crazy. I could feel a little bit of body roll when I shifted there, but I mean, I would expect a lot more body roll than what this is giving me. So let's see what ride height I'm in. I can't even see it. I doubt you guys can. So I'm not even in the lowest mode here. Let's go to let's see if it'll let me do the lowest mode here. It's like second to last. And this car can get pretty low. I think it looks pretty good like that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch on into comfort mode. No 0 to 60s in this one because it's just meant to be comfortable. And immediately when you press that button, you can feel the steering just loosen so much. There's a lot more play in the steering. It definitely has a lot more body roll immediately. But that's okay because everything is supposed to be lighter and just feel graceful, and it definitely does that. The steering is just very, very light. Switch it into Eco Pro mode, and it's about the same, just in Eco Pro and Comfort. So going back on into Comfort here. So let's talk about how comfortable this vehicle is besides the steering. So seating position, man, there are so many different ways to adjust the seats here. I absolutely love it because it does have the automatic thigh adjustments that you can use the controls for, which is really awesome, especially for my long legs. Visibility is great in here. I have no issues whatsoever. Blind spot monitoring, giant back window. Usually for the third row, those seats, the headrests are folded down so you can have a little bit better visibility, and it works pretty well. So as far as wind noise and insulation and whatnot, as I'm going over kind of a noisy road right now, it really isn't too bad. I think it is a little bit better than some of the other vehicles I've been in, like the X4M40i. It definitely is better than that one, and the X5, but there are tons of options to choose from that can make your experience better. I mean, shoot, even just the standard Harman Kardon system for your sound versus the Bowers and Wilkins, which is, I think, over something like $3,000, something ridiculous like that, but it does sound amazing. Brakes work pretty well. Okay, so now let's talk about this whole area right here, because there's a lot of stuff here. So first off, I'm gonna go ahead and change this display here. We're gonna do a wider view or wider layout, and we're gonna use, well, let me show you a couple of views here. So I like to use this view. It kind of reminds me of Tesla a little bit, so you can see the cars and whatnot. But I also like to really use the augmented reality one, which is this one right here. This one for sure is a little bit gimmicky, but I mean, who really cares? This is a $100,000 super comfortable SUV. Like, why not use it, right? So once we get going here, I'll start the assisted driving plus mode just to show you everything about it. All right, cool. So there we go. So then hopefully you're able to see this. Let's go ahead and switch lanes. So it'll actually assist you moving over lanes as well, which is pretty cool. I'm trying to get close to this vehicle here so you can see what it'll do. So once I let off the accelerator, you can see there's a little box there indicating that it sees that vehicle. It's slowing down here. You can see the speed is decreasing. It wants my hands on the wheel. It's got a pretty good distance there, and it's also keeping me in the lanes. This is really comfortable. So if you have like a super long commute or something, this is definitely a package you want to add, that assisted driving, because it is extremely helpful. All right, guys. Well, I really hope you enjoyed my review of this BMW X7. It was really awesome to review. This is definitely the vehicle you want if you've got $100,000 laying around, you want to be super comfortable, and for some reason you need 6 seats. This is probably it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.